Once upon a time, there was a powerful emperor who possessed a treasure unique in the entire world, a magnificent garden. But deep within this garden lay both a blessing and a curse, an apple tree that bore golden apples. Although the emperor guarded it with his life, he had never tasted a single fruit. Year after year, the apples would blossom, grow, and ripen, but on the very night before the harvest, they would vanish. Someone or something was stealing them. The bravest soldiers and the greatest knights of the kingdom tried to guard the tree. They all failed. Until one day, the emperor's sons decided to take matters into their own hands. The eldest son tried first. He stood guard for a week, but on the decisive night, a sleeping spell overcame him. By morning, the apples were gone. The next year, the middle son suffered the same fate. The shame was unbearable. The emperor was ready to cut down the tree to end this nightmare. But then Prâslea, the youngest son, stepped forward. The one everyone thought was just an unskilled boy. Prâslea did not rely on strength, but on intelligence. He knew the thief used magic to put the guards to sleep. So he built a trap for himself. He drove two sharp stakes into the ground. He sat between them, one pointing at his chest, one at his back. If he nodded off and his head fell forward, the stake would wake him. If he leaned back, the stake would pierce him. The pain kept him awake. And then, after midnight, a magical mist covered the garden. Prâslea felt his eyelids getting heavy, but the sharp stakes did their job. Then he heard it, a rustling sound. Someone was in the tree. Prâslea drew his bow. One arrow, two arrows, on the third one. An inhuman groan broke the silence. The thief had been hit. In the morning, Prâslea brought the golden apples to his father. But for him, the mission was not over. He wanted to see who the thief was. He followed the trail of blood along with his envious older brothers. The trail led them to the edge of the world, to a bottomless abyss. There, the blood trail stopped. The thief lived in the other world. They had to go down. The older brothers got scared after just a few meters and demanded to be pulled back up. But Prâslea descended all the way into the depths. There he discovered a strange world. The earth, the trees, the animals, everything was different. And he found the palaces. 3 palaces. One made of copper, one of silver, and one of solid gold. In each palace, a princess was held hostage, kidnapped by 3 brothers, the Zmeu monsters. The first 2 monsters were powerful, but Prâslea defeated them with agility and courage. However, the ultimate challenge awaited him at the Golden Palace. That is where the youngest Zmeu lived, the thief of the apples and the strongest of them all. When the monster arrived, he smelled human flesh. "Do you want to fight with maces, cut each other with swords, or wrestle body to body?" the beast asked. "A fair wrestling fight," Prâslea answered. The battle was titanic. They transformed into pillars of fire, burning the ground around them. At one point, a raven began to circle above them. The monster shouted, "Raven, drop some grease on me and I will give you his corpse." Prâslea shouted louder, "Raven, drop some grease on me and I will give you 3 monster corpses." The raven, being pragmatic, chose Prâslea. With his strength restored, the brave hero lifted the monster, slammed him into the ground up to his neck, and cut off his head. The underworld was finally free. Prâslea sent the princesses up the rope to his brothers, but he knew his brothers hated him. When it was his turn, he tied a heavy stone in his place and put his hat on top of it. The brothers pulled, and when they felt the weight, they cut the rope. The stone crashed to the bottom of the abyss. If Prâslea had been there, he would have died instantly. Stranded in the other world, Prâslea saved the chicks of a giant griffin. a massive bird who ruled that land, from a dragon. As a reward, the griffin agreed to carry him back to the world of humans. But the price was high. She had to be fed constantly during the flight. Prâslea prepared sacks of meat. They flew for days through the tunnels of the earth. But just before the exit, the meat ran out. The bird turned her head hungry, demanding the last piece to have the strength to reach the light. Without hesitating, Prâslea took out his knife. He cut a piece of flesh from his own leg and fed it to her. The bird sensed it was human flesh. She kept it under her tongue, and when they reached the surface, she placed it back, healing him miraculously. He arrived home, but he didn't go to the palace. He found out that his brothers had married the older sisters, and they were forcing the youngest princess, Prâslea's love, to marry a stranger. Prâslea hired himself as an apprentice to a silversmith. To stall for time, the princess had asked for impossible items: a golden distaff that spins by itself and a golden hen with golden chicks. Prâslea pulled them out of his pocket. He had taken them from the monsters' palaces and sent them to her. When the princess saw the items, she knew her hero was alive. She called him to the palace. Even though he was dressed in rags, she recognized him and told everyone the truth. The emperor wept with joy, but the older brothers froze in fear. Prâslea, being noble, refused to punish them himself. He said, "Let the divine judgment decide." The three brothers went out into the courtyard and shot an arrow into the sky. Prâslea's arrow fell in front of him, sticking into the ground. The traitorous brothers' arrows fell straight onto their heads, punishing them for their crime and lies. After justice was served, a blessed peace settled over the kingdom. Soon, news spread across the land. They prepared for a wedding like never before, a celebration to wipe away the years of pain. Prâslea, the hero who descended into hell and returned, married the youngest princess. Legend says their wedding lasted 3 days and 3 nights, and wine flowed like rivers, bringing joy to every subject in the realm. After his father passed away, Prâslea ascended to the throne. But he was not just any emperor. With the wisdom gained from fighting monsters and the kindness shown to the griffin, he ruled with justice and mercy. And the golden apple tree. Well, it is said that under Prâslea's guard, the tree was never robbed again. The golden apple shone in the garden, a symbol of a kingdom that conquered darkness. And that is how the history of Prâslea the Brave was written. A story about courage, self-sacrifice, and the truth that no matter how deep the abyss you fall into, there is always a way back to the light if your heart is pure. I hope you enjoyed the story. As usual, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment with what story I should do next.